are you going to record, or do I get to do this without fear of recording and future retribution? Oh, dang, you're already recording. Dang it. Okay. All right. Never mind. Forget what I said.
You're in trouble already.
I know. All right. Let's go ahead and dive in. This has been a busy week. This is the end of week 7. Bob, I got that right this time. I have triple checked. Yep. I did not want to have 3 strikes.
Good job, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. It means we have 2 weeks left. And it also means that starting next week, this was the last week for non-appropriation committees. So only the big appropriations committees in the House and Senate will be meeting next week. And they will be focused on the budget. And all the aspects of finalizing that budget. And then the last week, typically they're doing the back and forth and messages on budget negotiations. So this was the end of really getting policy bills through substantive or the policy committees. And so I've got a lot of calls to make this week on what's going to be dead versus, what may still have some life. So as usual, this is the report filed in order of action. So last action's on top. This was distributed to everybody yesterday evening. I've added my comments and highlights and notes. So I'm just going to dive through these real quick. I actually don't have a lot of time to spend, or I don't need to spend a lot of time, I don't think, on the stormwater ratification. Really not a lot of new activity. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. A lot of activity happened, but no new changes have happened this week. So what did happen is the Senate version on the floor was amended to conform with the House version that passed last week. So last week we went through all the changes to the House version. Remember, they were substantively the same as the Senate, with the exception of the 18-month, the 12 to 18-month, change. And now the Senate version matches the House version. The Senate version has completely passed the Senate floor, is read third time and passed. And engrossed means it is in a form to present to the governor for signature. The House is on the House floor, has not been voted on yet. Any questions on that? Did I go through that too fast?
No, that's fine.
Okay. If we get to the end and there's more time, and anybody that wasn't on a prior call and didn't, hasn't been tracking the changes, I'm happy to go back through them. All right. Next, probably most significant bill is the environmental funding bill. So this is the one, and we talked about it a little bit. I did a deep dive on this about 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. Creates the new trust funds for trail maintenance and puts a lot of money into land management, and also puts a lot of money into wastewater facility upgrades. So this is the funding source is the Seminole Gaming Compact, and this has passed the Senate completely, and again is in position for the governor to sign. On the House side, Buchanan's bill is on the House floor, so it's in the same position as the stormwater ratification bill. Any questions on that? All right. The water well contractor licensing bill was passed in the Senate, is on the House floor, and is on the House floor. I believe this will pass as well. Mitigation bill by TrueNow passed its last committee yesterday and is headed to the floor in the House, and the Senate companion is also on the Senate floor. I believe it will. Both of these will pass. Okay, starting to get into no, never mind. Later, this is one of the bills that I'm not sure will make it, probably has a 50-50 chance at this point, or maybe even less. This is the beach bacteriological sampling bill, transferring that program from DOH to DEP. It really doesn't do anything else. It passed its last committee stop in the House yesterday and is headed to the floor in the House, but on the Senate side, it is stuck in its second committee. So it isn't dead because it has made it through completely on one side, and so the Senate can technically pick up a fully adopted House version on the floor now that, because it's made it through at least one committee. I know that was a little wonky, but those are the rules on if it's made it through completely on one side and didn't make it through on the other side. This one could technically pass using that process. It doesn't do a whole lot though. So here's another, this is one that is another kind of high profile bill. This is the DEP bill. It has a bunch of stuff in there, kind of an DEP omnibus bill. This one did make it through its last committee stop in the Senate yesterday and is headed to the floor, and it has completely passed the House. So this one looks like it's going to go. There's the House companion for the ratification bill. This one is another bill that I believe will pass this year. This was a bit more controversial at each stop. It was essentially a split vote, Republicans, Democrats, so passed on party lines. This does limit some liability. And so the trial attorneys were against it and mobilized their Democrat legislators. And but it nevertheless is on the floor in the House and Senate. This has, Bob, this also is the one that has the side slips in there, but that was not the controversial piece. The controversial piece was the limitation of liability. If you're in compliance with your environmental permits, you are shielded from third-party liability. This is the Senate companion of that bill. Similar posture. It's on the floor. And this is the Comprehensive Waste Reduction and Recycling Plan bill. This has passed the House, but on the Senate is in its second committee. So I don't know. Not sure this is going to work. I think it might get stuck. Similarly, I believe the DEP mangrove replanting and restoration rule bill is it's on the floor in the House, but it is stuck in rules in the Senate, which is its second stop. I would put all of these kind of in the 50-50 camp because they're just running out of time to get through their last committees. It would take some action on the floor to get these three. This is Broder's mitigation companion bill. This is passed. It's on the floor. And now I'm getting into the list of bills that I believe are going to be dead. So Broder's PFAS bill. This was not the omnibus PFAS legislation that I think is coming next year. This was a more narrow PFAS legislation, but it did not move fast enough. It's been stuck for a couple of weeks. I consider this completely dead. Did not even move in the House and only made it through two committees in the Senate. This is the other companion of the beach sampling bill, and now all of the rest of these are all dead. Any questions? Any bills you want me to go back to? Any bills you've heard of that I haven't mentioned?
Hey Jeff, this is Danielle.
Hey, Danielle.
Hey, on Senate Bill 32 that's stuck in rules, any idea why it's stuck in rules?
This is the time of year where the priority bills get pushed through, and if it's not a priority and it's they just run out of time. I think it's just that simple. The committees that ran yesterday were running like 4 or 5 hour agendas and running pretty late last night. I don't think they were done until after 6. And that's because they all recognized this was kind of the last week to get it, to get through those non-appropriation committees. It just ran out of time. Doesn't mean it wasn't supported. Probably just means maybe next year.
Yeah.
Anybody else? This will be a record if we do this in 10 minutes.
If no one has anything else, I missed the omnibus DEP bill that you recapped in maybe 3 weeks ago or so. I was wondering if you could give a quick recap again.
Sure. So the DEP bill is it is an omnibus bill. It has, I'm scanning back up so I can make sure I don't miss stuff. So it has some channel. It has vessel operation limitations outside of channels and aquatic preserves. So that's what I mean by omnibus. It's got a bunch of little things in it. It defines the Florida flood hub. I'm just summarizing right here off the bill description, Danielle. It has some OSTDS stuff. It has domestic wastewater treatment plan stuff. It also, and not on here, or not in this abbreviated summary, it has the creation of the Kristen Jacobs Aquatic Preserve. That's for the Southeast Coral Protection Area. I think that's the gist of it. There may be one or two minor things that I'm leaving out.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
Anything new on the 404?
I was hoping
Jeff?
nobody was gonna. I was hoping to. All right, yeah. There is some more chatter going on. Looking for my latest intel from the Deputy Secretary. Okay. The appeal. So I have to assume that people are on a baseline understanding of what's going on to dive into the weeds. So let me maybe start with 30 seconds on baseline. So, it was canceled or vacated by the judge, basically a week ago. We were learning about it. There was a bit of an olive branch extended by the judge for coming back with a request to partially stay the total cancellation and allow DEP to continue to move forward with 404 decisions that have no effect on endangered species. But he said everything else that affects species is canceled, is vacated, citing concerns about ESA violations, things like that. That is where we continue to stand today, and for the last week, there has been no processing of any 404 applications in DEP assumed waters of the United States. The Corps continues to process 404 applications in retained waters. If anybody filed an application or a modification or was expecting any activity this week and talked to DEP or the Corps, DEP has been sending out a kind of a uniform message. I believe it's been, was staffed so that everybody had the same kind of messaging. Basically, it's pencils down. DEP's not moving any applications forward. It's not doing any site inspections. It's not processing any new or, signing new application numbers. It's not, hasn't done any meetings. So it's gone in complete pause mode, operational pause. The Corps of Engineers similarly has said we're not receiving, we're not taking applications for state assumed, projects in state assumed waters. So those were directions from DEP higher and Corps higher authority. So everything is on pause. There are ongoing conversations between DEP and EPA on whether to try to pursue the judge's offer and seek a partial stay so that DEP can continue to do process applications that have no effect on species. That discussion is ongoing. So no new news on that.
Hey, Jeff, on that issue, when you say pencils down on applications, that's just on the 404 applications, right? They're still going to go forward on applications that are not triggering 404,
Oh, yeah.
is my understanding.
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
thanks.
Yep. Just 404.
Well,
Unfortunately,
I do want to say my
go
heart,
ahead.
well, Jeff, one more thing. My heart
Yep.
broke a little bit for you when I heard the news about this. I mean,
Yeah, me
truly,
too.
because of all of the testimony you gave and the hard work that you put in to really make this happen. I attribute the state having that assumption to largely to the efforts that you and others in the administration did at the time. So it's really a little bit heartbreaking.
Well, thanks, Danielle. I'm way too cynical and scarred now to shed tears over it. All right, any more questions? So, little shameless plug. We are in the specifier, we are tweeting and posting updates on LinkedIn when I can get and on our website when I can get anything official. Sometimes I get good sourced information, but it's kind of gossip or still completely speculatory. So we're not posting any of that information. But when we get facts, we're putting them on specifier as soon as I learn them. So you can look there if you, or shoot me an email.
And I do appreciate the response, Jeff.
Of course, Gary.
This is Gary.
Yeah, of course. About that decision here, I think today.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's been a fun week, I must say.
Well, fun is one
One
description.
way to put it, right?
All right. Anybody else? Anything else? Okay, hearing nothing, I will say everybody have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Good. Thank you, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,